The last time the NOVAR Verizon Cup Series hit the track, Chris Bell made a miraculous pass on Scott Johnson and Shane Harden to take the win at Sacramento. This week we head to the Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware to tackle the 1 mile Dover Speedway. The big storyline heading into this race was that the return of Jake Kierland, who sustained a concussion after his lap 38 crash due to that violent hit into the inside wall. Kierland was out of the Sacramento race, which Blake Foster filled in for him. Foster had a pretty good run in that race until fuel issues came through and he finished 32nd in the race. Kierland in practice hasn't really done anything, although he was practicing about 21st in practice times. So maybe this could be a sign that Kierland could potentially do decently in this race. Another big storyline that could happen is, and potentially starting the 2015 offseason, is that Ethan Littinger is potentially rumored to be promoted to the Verizon Cup Series due to his performances in the Gatorade Series. Although these rumors haven't been exactly confirmed by Silver Green Racing owners Roger Sweeney, they should stir up a lot of mix on what would happen if Silver Green Racing did actually make the move. Would they go to a 5-car team, or will they dump their drivers? And now I'll head it over to Kendall Johnson for the race recap. And thank you. Shane Nargan leads the field down as Casey Hito is on his outside. Nargan gets a really good restart. Is actually able to clear the 19 before they get into turn number 1. As the rest of the inside line, which is Todd Piper starting in the 3rd spot, while Chris Devon in the 06 is starting in the 5th spot. Nargan has about a decent-sized lead as they head out of turn number 3. There you see some cars already running it a little bit wide, as some of them bounce off the wall. The 19, the 55 bounce off of the wall. As they bounce off the wall, first caution come out in lap 2. Casey Lesher gets in the back of the 57. This sends the 25 of Scott Howard around. Shane Bliss in the 42 is collected. Chris Bell's collected. Casey Lester gets collected. Chandler Blake, the points leader, is also collected as well. However, everybody else was able to drive away. Let's take a look at what happened. Looks like the 57 bounces off, I believe that was the 15 of Chandler Blake, and then that bounces into the 12 of Casey Lester. Alan Kimball gets into the 12, and that's how that's happened. All cars would be able to drive away, but then Cody Wyke in the 22 would turn the 59 of Shane Harden as both cars would continue on. The restart, which happened on lap number 6, saw Shane Nargan in car number 32 was the race leader of that restart, as the 19 of Casey Hito 2nd, Chris Devon in the 06 3rd, Todd Piper 4th. However, Piper's already going to look for that 3rd spot, and looks like he could take that 4th spot away from the 3rd spot away, from the 06 of Chris Devon to the 06. As Devon's now going to try to hang on for that 4th spot, as there you see Shane Nargan in the 32 is going to maneuver on the lap car of Chandler Blake, who is your points leader going into this weekend, and has a huge enough lead that even if he has a bad day, he doesn't really have to worry about it. He's coming off of 3 straight top 10 finishes going into this weekend, and that's how Blake's been able to build up that points lead. That included that win at California. Another driver who's having a very good impression here at Dover is the 06 of Chris Devon. The Gristle organization team is actually a 2-car organization. Devon and his other car, Ethan Zarin. Zarin's failed to qualify for every single race so far this year. These two have been the main drivers for the Gressler Gatorade Series program, which saw Ethan Zarin win the title in 2009. Chris Devon didn't really have exactly the success that Zarin had, but had enough talent to actually come up to the Cup Series and see what Gressler Racing Organization did. Chris Devon's actually done something that Ethan Zarin hadn't done, was actually qualify for a race. However, whenever the 06 does qualify for a race, it's just pretty much he runs towards the back of the field. However, he's right now running in about the top 10, which is a very impressive start, this is his 4th start of the year. Our next caution would come out on lap number 11. Justin Klingston would get run into by the back of CJ Gordon, Luke Warren, and Shane Bliss are all collected. Looks like all of them continue on as 3 of the 5 DM race cars are collected. Our restart would happen on lap 15 with Casey Hutu taking the lead. Nargan had to pit under caution. Blake Vitagliani is in 2nd. Chris Devon at the 06 is 3rd, as there you see Jake Kierland in the 76. Actually in his comeback tour, he's right now actually in 4th spot in his comeback. However, the 19 of Huto is able to build up a huge lead as the lap car of Jonathan Winslow, who was actually noted for the battle for himself between himself and Logan Chin during the 2010 running of this event. As right now the 00 is lap done. Here's Jake Kierland in the 76. He's right now in the middle of this pack. And as I mentioned, this is his comeback race. He suffered a mild concussion after his wreck in the Blue Ridge. There you see Thomas Lawyers in the 16. He goes in the apron. That kind of stacks the field up. As the 76 of Kierland. There you see Tony Wider in the 35. Wider is I think this is actually the battle for 9th, as Kierland, who was involved in that Blue Ridge crash, which he hit that inside wall pretty hard, as that same wreck, which I think got Luke Warren. Actually, it wasn't the same wreck as Warren. Excuse me, as the 76 of Kierland. Kierland, who sustained a mild concussion. He was out for one race and then was doubtful, but however came back. Our next caution will come out at lap 37. Casey Littinger gets involved in a wreck with Luke Warren, as Littinger slides back up the track. Nobody hits him until you're CJ Gordon. So I think, and then Alec Kimmel gets a piece. So in practically about 2 wrecks, all 5 DM cars are involved somehow, just like what happened with the Silver Green Racing team at Blue Ridge, which generally, whenever there's a wreck with one teammate, they would decide just to run into their own teammate. Casey Hutto and car number 19 would lead on the restart, which happened on lap number 35, as he was able to get away cleanly from the 06 of Devin. Devin has not been able to get any good restarts throughout this weekend, as the lap cars of Hardin and Youthen would all all split them up, as the 59 Hardin's now going to try to contest for that spot. There you see Evan Brooks in the 35, as we have our next caution, lap number 37, as a stack effect comes into pits. This stacks up the entire field. Eddie John, actually Stephen Volt gets into the back of the 29, sends the 95 around, as here's what happened. This from Mark Von Gill's perspective. They somehow bounce off the wall, and the 33 of Cameron Brooks bounces off the wall, and this kind of sets off the wreck, as the 33 and 20 will keep on going. On the restart, which happened on lap 41, the 19 of Casey Hutto led on the restart with Jake Kierland in second. As you can see here, they are the only 2 cars on the lead lap, because we had some confusion on pit cycle. The 3rd place car is actually Chris Devin in the 06, who is right now on the inside line. However, he's lapped down. There you see basically only about the first, 12 cars in that pack were able to get away. There was a really slow car. I couldn't really tell that was. There you see Chadley Blake trying to get back into the inside. We would have our next caution, lap 44. Jonathan Winslow gets into the back of Shane Clark III, gets into Chris Bell. Gordon Billard is collected, as the 98 slides down the track, and he'll be able to keep on going. On the restart, we would have a couple of cars off the lead lap, but Casey Hutto was still the race leader. And actually, that slow car was actually CJ Gordon, the 48, which Gordon has not been able to get that car going practically throughout the race. As there you see, Hutto is going to try to relap the field. As there you see he already relapped the 76 to 50, and he's about to relap the 35, which all of them were actually on the tail end of the lead lap. As they all head out of turn number 4, looks like the 19 will be able to get relap the 35, and looks like he's going to relap his own teammate, Jamie Scott in the 9. As we actually have a long green flag going, but a near close call. The 19 almost bounces into the wall and almost gets spun by the 57 of Kyra Youthen, but the 19 was able to keep on going. However, another driver was not that lucky. Chris Bell in the 38, as our caution lap 99, he gets turned by Shane Hard. Hard hits the inside wall hard. However, the 59 was able to get that car kept on going. There you see the 38 is going to turn it back around. Nobody's going to hit him, as he almost tries to merge in front of traffic and almost takes out a couple of cars while doing that. We would have a new leader on this restart, which happened on lap number 103. Casey Lester actually got back on the lead lap. We almost had a stack up. We almost had a wreck, I think, in the back of that pack. I think it was Casey Hutto trying to get back on his way, but he almost got wrecked right there, as Jake Kierland in second, Tony White in third, Jay Anonori in fourth, and Chris Devin is somehow still on the lead lap, as actually he got back on the lead lap somehow, as Casey Lester in the 12th. Casey Lester actually had a pretty good race in Sacramento. However, he was black flagged due to a lug nut and never really was able to recover of that risk. However, he's building up on a huge lead, which in the past 2 years, Silver Green Racing has won in 2 of the last 3 years. And on both of those occasions, that was Cody Wyke. However, Cody Wyke is actually out of this race. We have next caution lap 106. Walter Green dumps Casey Littinger. He slows up and then gets rear-ended by the 18 to Damon Scott. The 18 gets turned around, and looks like another wreck. I think that was Shane Harden that got turned around. We'll take a look here from Luke Warren's perspective, and it was Shane Harden, and then Scott Johnson of 58 gets collected. The 14 was able to keep on going. The 12 of Casey Lester would be on the leader of this restart, which happened on lap 110, as Tony Whiter is in second. Jake Carroll in the 76 still in third. And the 0-1 at Jay Anonori is still in fourth, as it looks like the 12 wasn't able to clear the leaders as he did in the past restart, but actually is still trying to get there. There you see Shane Norgan, the 32, is actually a lap down. Mark Mongillo is likewise in the 20 car, as looks like the 35 of Tony Wider is actually going to try to get there. We have our next caution, a lap 113. Stephen Volk and Shane Harden would get involved in the wreck. Harden would actually try to get it back. Actually got loose and spun it in the apron. Was trying to get it back. Harden was trying to get back going, but somehow he wrecked the car. On the restart, Tony Wider in the 35 led on the restart. Gordon Billards, I believe, a lap down, and Jake Kierland is the car in second. As the 76 is, Gordon Billard was able to get by the lap cars. The 35 is still stuck on that outside line. The next caution will come out at lap 120, as we have Casey Littinger once again to get involved in wreck. Todd Piper's collected. Casey Elsa gets hit hard by the 88 of Alan Kimmel. Tyler Blake is collected. And there you see a series of cars start spinning. There you see it again here from, I think this is from Cody. Actually, I think that's from Damon Scott's perspective. He gets hit from Casey Littinger, and then actually gets hit again from Todd Piper, and gets hit. The A-team gets stalled out, and then somehow would be able to get turned it around, and then gets hit hard by Mark Mongillo, and it looks like that's the 28 of Mark Mongillo. Tony Wider, the 35, was also collected there. The A-team gets over once, and then Jake Kierland is collected as well, as the A-team's trying to get it back going. And CJ Gordon comes down, gets into the 26 of Todd Piper, and this stacks up the field even more as they try to avoid the wreck. There you see the 48 stalls out. And then hello, Ronald Portland, as he gets hit, and then he gets hit by Chris Clark. As then he gets hit by Gordon Miller, and then Tony Wider gets hit from the lead. Despite all the carnage, Jake Kierland, who was actually in the carnage, somehow was the leader of this race. During all that, Shane Clark III, as I believe a lap, is actually in second. Casey Lester in the 12 is in third. As Jay Arnoy's a surprise fourth place run in that 0-1 GoDaddy.com Chevrolet. The 12 of Lester is coming out of turn number 4, as we would have our next caution. There you see Walter Green gets hit the wall hard. And the next caution will come out on lap 159 as Walter Green and Jake Kierland are going to crash each other into the wall, as the 39 of Walter Green rolls it over one time, as the car will get stalled there. As here's from the 06 Chris Devon. He spins from the third spot, as this will stack the field up and will have a lot of cars involved. There you see the 27 of Todd Piper, Keith Hale, excuse me, and a bunch of others. Casey Lester, who was, I believe, in the lead at the time, is also collected as well. As here is the Casey Lester in the 12. He's actually on the restart. He's actually leading on the restart, which actually was on lap number 165, which actually I believe was on lap 163, excuse me, as I think the ticker kind of messed up there. Looks like Lester in 12. He is in a heap of lap cars. The second place car is, I believe, Jay Anonori, if I'm not mistaken, who was, I believe, already pulled out ahead, and we almost got a wreck. Keith almost gets in a wreck, as we got, looks like a little bit of carnage. Looks like 12 of Lester trying to get under that lap car of Chris Devon in the 06. He pulls down a little bit, as I think Lester's going to try to come back down, and then he gets hooked into the wall by the 98. So leading the race, he gets hooked into the wall, and now he has to be forced to pit, as that will bring out the caution. He gets into Walter Youthen, and Chris Bell is collected. Here's what happened to Ronald Portland. He comes down and gets wrecked by the leaders, and then somehow is able to keep it going. But Casey Lester gets wrecked in from the lead. There you see just clinks into the pit wall, and we would have a restart at lap 170, as Jay Anonori in the 01 was the leader of the race. Keith Hales, Tony Wider in the 35 is in second, as the 19 of Casey Hutto is in third. Chris Devon somehow is still in fourth. Anonori is able to get a good lead over the rest of the field, as we're going to have another caution happen on lap number 172. As there you see the 72, Logan Chin spins it down the track. Jake Kierland was also collected as well. Nobody would hit the 72, as everybody would keep on going. Next restart, which happened on lap 176, Jay Anonori leading to the restart. Tony Wider in the 35 second. The top 4 remain virtually unchanged. Casey Lester in the 12 car is actually in the 5th spot. However, his car's not been able to get going because of that wreck. And there you see Tony Wider in the 35. Wider goes to the inside as he's going to try to go for the lead here. Couldn't really do it there as he has a heap of lap cars. There you see, look, the 15 of Chandler Blake's going to try to go for the race lead. He actually is going to try to get under and get track position here. And the 35 of Tony Wider is going to try to take the lead. There he goes in the 35. The 35 of Tony Wider is going to take the lead as Casey Hutto is now going to fight for second. As somehow the 06 of Chris Devon's also stuck up in there. We would have our last caution, our final caution of the night would happen on lap 179 as Matt Kimmel get turned around. He gets hit by the 98 of Shane Clark third, and the 28 goes for a couple of rolls. As the 28 would keep on going. Tony Wider would get the lead on the restart. Casey Hutto second, Jane Arnone third, Chris Devon in fourth, and Jason Duke was able to get back on the lead lap as a result of those shenanigans. Chandler Blake, Evan Brooks, Kyra Youth, and Shane Narkin would all be trying to fight their way back to the lead lap. As there you see Jane Arnone in the 01 is going to pull underneath the 19 of Casey Hutto. That's going to be for second. Arnone looks like the 19 of Hutto shuts the door on the 01. And looks like the 35 Widers, they're going to hang to the middle. However, a couple laps later, this is 7 to go. The 01, and Arnone is going to get a run in the middle of turn 1 and 2. And looks like he's going to get by the 01. And the 01 is going to get by the 35. As they're going to be heading to 6 laps to go this time. Does Tony Wider have enough? But now he's going to be contested for that spot by Jason Duke. However, the 35 is going to shut the door on the 66 of Jason Duke. As now Arnone is going to try to maneuver around the lap car of Evan Brooks. But meanwhile, several laps later, Duke was able to get around the 35. And now he's going to have a couple laps to try to get that 01. They're going to take the white flag this time by. Jay Arnone has not won a Verizon Cup Series race since 2008. Jason Duke is looking for his first since 2010. It's going to be a drag race. Does Jason Duke have enough to get the passenger 4? The lap car of Clark may have been a factor. The 66 gets a run, but it's not going to be enough. And Jay Arnone is going to snap a 6-year drought and is going to win here at Dover. Jason Duke gets second, and Tony Wider was able to get that third spot from the 19 of Casey Hutto. We'll now take a look at the race results. Jay Arnone wins her first race in about 6 years. Last time she won was at, I believe, Richmond of 2008. Jason Duke, despite that hard charge in the closing stages of the race, comes up short. He gets second. Tony Wider was able to beat out Casey Hutto for that third spot. Casey Hutto gets fourth, and he led the most laps with 90 laps. Chris Devon in the 06, a really good run for car number 06, and the Gressler Racing team, which that team, they have not had the power like these superpower teams like Ease Racing or Silver Green Racing have, but they get a 5th place finish. The highest Devon was been pretty much the entire race was, I believe, second. And the lowest he has been the entire race was like 13. 6th is Chandler Blake in the 15, who finishes 6th. And 7th is Shane Nargan in the 32. He was the last car on the lead lap. Evan Brooks finishes 8th in the number 95 Red Robin Ford. Brandon Green finally gets some good luck. He finishes 9th and claws his way up from the 38th starting position. And Shane Bliss in the 42 rounds out the top 10. And just to note, the 95, 30, and 42 were a lap down as they finished. Other notable cars that were a lap down were Blake Battagliana, Eddie Johnson, Casey Lester. So now we take a look at the point standings. Chandler Blake is still your points leader. However, his points lead is now extended to 52 points. Keith Hales is the new second place man in points after Shane Clark III struggled practically the entire race. Shane Clark III, he falls to only 1 spot to 3rd. Casey Lester, despite struggling in this race, gains 3 spots to the 4th spot. He finished 14th in this race. Mark Mungillo gains 1 spot to the 5th spot in the point standings. Tony Wider gains 5 spots. He goes to 6th. 7th is Todd Piper. He actually drops 2 spots to the 7th spot. And Shane Nargan gains 7 spots to get to 8th spots. He is 85 points back. And now we take a look at 9 through 15. Blake Battagliana, he gains 3 spots to the 9th spot. Shane Harden drops 1 spot to 10th. Cody Wyke drops out from the top 5 to outside the top 10. He falls to 11th points. He is 87 points back due to his last place finish. Brandon Green in car number 30, he finishes 12th. Actually is 12th. He gained 1 spot despite his really good luck that happened this week. Luke Warren falls 3 spots to 13th. He is 92 points back. Jamie Scott and CJ Gordon are tied with 96 points. However, the tiebreaker goes to Jamie Scott, who somehow gets the tiebreaker, which I'm not sure. These tiebreakers are messed up. Jamie Scott is in 14th, and CJ Gordon loses 7th spot. He falls to 15th and falls into the tie with Jamie Scott. Next week's race will be a very interesting race. It will be the 3rd race of the South Carolina Part-Timers Challenge and the first doubleheader race since 1972, which they'll be at the KC Autosports Complex in KC, South Carolina.